What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Tottenham have beaten Everton 2-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to complete Spurs' best ever start to a Premier League season with 23 points as we put pressure on the top two going into the weekend. Harry Kane put Spurs 1-0 up from the penalty spot, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg sealing the victory with 5 minutes remaining with a deflected effort which was on the counter-attack. I'm here with Marlon to discuss the instant match reaction from what was a very good performance in my book. Spurs continuing their 100% record at home this season in Champions League and in Premier League football. So what did you make of the performance, Marlon? Were you happy with what you saw?
I'm going to have to agree with you. I thought it was a good performance, and usually I'm not the most positive when it comes to Spurs, but today I actually thought we played well. I thought we played really well in the first half. It just weren't happening for us in that final third. We just weren't getting, we weren't having the shots. We weren't creating, making Pickford look busy, but I thought we played well. Defensively, we looked solid. The midfield looked okay. And then second half, well, you can see where as soon as Basuma came on again, we looked even more comfortable. And it just seemed to just open Everton up a little bit. We seemed to be getting Bentancur and Højbjerg then move further forward, just gave them more freedom, which then meant, Kane and Son had more, more people protecting them and having more support. So yeah, I'm happy. And I think, to be honest, everyone has to look at it. That's the best defensive team in the league right now. And
not anymore after today.
But there's a reason behind it, and it was going to take time. And I said to you earlier, it looked like a 1-0 game, and it was a mistake by Pickford that's really done it for us. So you've kind of got to look at it and go, we have played well, we've got the result, and in years gone by, we probably wouldn't have got that result today.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you talk about this game from a tactical point of view, because we started the game with a 3-4-3, and I think in the first half we were definitely the better team. We were the ones making the runnings, albeit we didn't create too many clear-cut opportunities in the first half. We had some brilliant crosses in the box. I thought Son and Perisic, for all the narrative that they can't play together, I thought they were actually linking up really well in that first half. Son looked on his A game in that first half with some of his dribbles and his crosses. But Everton did have the best opportunities in that first half. Gray blazing over from a tight angle, and Onana pouncing on a mistake from Romero and Højbjerg to go for on goal. But unfortunately for him, he blazed over the bar. So going to half time, we had 9 shots with 1 on target, but there was still a bit of feeling of uneasiness. It was 0-0, albeit we were the better team, but still haven't taken the game by the scruff of the neck. Second half starts, and it starts in a similar pattern, and then Richarlison picks up an injury off the ball, and it kind of forced us into a change of formation. And once we changed that formation, all of a sudden, Everton had absolutely zero chances in the game. Everton didn't seem to get. I don't think Everton had a shot on goal after the change, and I think the change kind of happened by accident, but we looked a lot more comfortable once we went at three in the middle. Yeah, no, because Gray just seemed to be disappearing that second half for Everton, and he was probably causing the most issues. He probably had, if we looked at the stats, he probably had the most touches out of any Everton player after Tarkowski and Cody. But it's a case of, as soon as the accidental 3-5-2, but he could have gone with Moura, and that's the thing, he could have gone, no, I'm keeping it the same and gone with Moura back. As people said, Conte is starting to change his ways. He's starting to look at things a bit differently. He's seen that Basuma can tactically be now in this team. So he thought, let me try this. And it worked. It absolutely worked like a charm. So you can't complain. And I thought we were a lot better today. And any neutral fan watching that, who's watched us in the last couple of weeks, they wouldn't have been falling asleep. They would have just been thinking Everton are stuck every man behind the ball. And they played really well at doing it. Lampard, and I criticise him as a manager, but in that first half, both managers would have gone in that first half going, I'm happy with this. But it's a mistake by Pickford that has necessarily cost them the game. And Everton moving forward,
there's positives for them out of that game. It probably wasn't a 2-0 game, but we were good enough to get the 2 goals. So we just have to go from here. And we have to be positive. I think we have to go into Old Trafford on Wednesday being positive as well.
Yeah, 100%. And look, we're on good form. We responded really well to the defeat against Arsenal and have really come back with, we're still unbeaten since that game. And I think when you talk about individuals today in terms of the game, I thought, first of all, Harry Kane, we spoke about this one before. Harry Kane, I thought, was absolutely fantastic, especially once he moved to 3-5-2. I think he came even more alive.
More into his game then,
and he was holding players off. He was dribbling past players at ease. He won the penalty himself after getting fouled by Pickford. I thought. He was energetic best. I've never seen him look this energetic before. Like not for a long time anyway. And it seems as like he's running past players. You look at the second goal. He had no right to win that ball when it dropped down from the sky. He miscontrolled it. He had no right to beat Conor Cody to that ball. Yet he's able to run past him, feed Bentancur, and we get the second goal from it. So I don't know what Conte is feeding Harry Kane, but he needs to carry on because he's
doing something.
He's eating something right for sure. He's
But I heard him midweek, and I heard him say that he's told Kane to not come deep as much. He's told him he wants him more and more in the box and more around that final third, because actually that's where we need him. And it seems to be working because he's scoring more goals with it, and you can see by his performance today that actually that's where he needs to be. He doesn't need to drop deep. If we do have Basuma and Højbjerg and Bentancur in there, actually they can do that passing as well that we're so used to him doing last season. So it's working like a charm, and whatever Conte is saying to him, it's working.
100%. Romero, I thought carrying on his improved performances. I thought another really strong showing from Cuti Romero today. I thought he was really aggressive. The amount of times he won the ball back off the Everton attackers and put us back on the front foot, allowed us to have more possession, allowed us to have sustained more attacks as well. I thought he was brilliant. And as well, the midfield 3, I would go for all 3 of them. I thought were fantastic. Bentancur got an early yellow, which was unjust early yellow, where he won the ball, and then I thought he had a really disciplined game after that. Ended up getting an assist later on. Højbjerg gets a goal, a third goal of the season. I thought another really strong showing from him, and he was pretty much everywhere. But one guy I want to pick out is Basuma, because he came on with half an hour to go with the enforced substitution, and I thought he not only did he give us really good balance, but I'm actually starting to see him assert himself on the pitch now.
Yeah. And that's probably what Conte was talking about, being tactically, not ready for the team. And you can start to see that, because if you like I said earlier, if you look at the West Ham game, we all went, oh, that's not the Basuma we expected. But then as the games have gone on since Leicester, you've noticed there's been a big difference in his game. And he's being more, the tackles that he's winning now in that midfield. He's helping Højbjerg and Bentancur as well. But he's not just helping those two. He's helping the wing backs. He's then helping the 2 forwards as well, which means they can get more into their game. So it's looking good.
And I think, I think he can be really good in that role in the midfield. I mean, potentially once he adapts, he can play in the 2, but I think in the 3 right now, I think he looked really at home. He was playing. One thing I've been a bit critical of Basuma is want to see him play a bit forward, a bit more, but a bit more penetrative passing. Progressive passing, and today he was doing that to really good effect, finding the forward players in really good spaces. And I felt, and obviously defensively, I thought he was breaking up Everton attacks brilliantly. He was covering so much ground, and that's what we know Basuma can do. That's one of his strengths. So, absolutely fantastic cameo from him. Really good sub appearance. I thought it was a really good showing from him. Perisic, I thought was good. I thought he was a threat overall on the left hand side. Could have done a bit better in some situations.
I thought his crossing let him down today a little bit. I thought
his crossing when he was able to get it in was good.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time he was just dipping it instead of just whipping it in the box. Where Son in the first half, that's why Son's crosses look, because he was whipping them and he was making the defenders think. But where Perisic, he was kind of putting it on Cody and Tarkowski's head, which meant they were kind of defending it better. And I think that's the only bit that let him down today, if I'm being completely honest. And that's probably the one part of his game where he's really good.
Fair enough. But I thought his flow crosses did really well. Didn't it lead to the Doherty shot, which won the penalty, if I remember rightly? I might be wrong on that. But look, for me, I thought him, especially in the first half, him and Son
in the first half
were linking well.
Yeah, they linked really well, and I think that kind of counter. I know Son didn't score, but at least we're starting to see them actually complement each other and work better together. And I think Perisic didn't get in Son's positions as much in the first half, which meant then Son could come in, come out, whip the ball in and things like that. So yeah, both of them are getting there. And it does take time, especially when you've got two good players at their level. Sometimes it won't work straight away. It does take time on the training field.
But in terms of level performance and, you know, being complaints about bad football and boring and stuff like that, I thought today again was a good step in the right direction for me. I thought at times we played some really good quick one-touch football. I thought we had a lot of control of the game once we went to a 3-5-2. I think we thoroughly deserved the victory. I think in the second half, did Everton have a shot on goal? I don't remember one.
No.
I don't think I remember a shot. I think we were completely dominant in that sense. I think we're starting again to look so really solid and like a real team like we were at the back end of last season under Conte, getting back to those levels. I'm
feeling. Do you think that's down to Doherty coming back and being on the right side, where we kind of now have he's because he's a more forward-thinking player than what Emerson Royale is, and he plays better passes. But actually, when you look at the first goal today, that comes down to Doherty being in that position, being able to take the shot, and able to give Pickford the mistake to make. Yeah,
that's another individual I want to point out is Matt Doherty. I thought he had a really good performance building on his performance from Brighton.
Yes.
I thought he was getting the box a lot more. He obviously had the shot which led to the penalty. I thought actually his dribbling, he was taking people on. He was winning free kicks. He won 3 or 4 free kicks in really dangerous positions, which you don't really associate with Matt Doherty.
I agree, yeah.
And I actually think when it comes to like keeping the ball, playing smart, clever passes, he's much better than Emerson from that point of view. Yeah. Obviously, he's going to have different tests against other wingers who are quicker than him and stuff like that. Maybe in the future he'll have tougher tests. I thought today he did really well. I was really impressed with him, and I thought it was getting back to those levels we saw last season.
And that's what I thought. I think I agree with you on them. It's going to be when he comes up against when he has to defend a little bit more, where I think that's where Royale is better than Doherty. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, because he hasn't had that test yet, and I don't think he really had that test last season, because I think we played a lot of the teams that didn't have decent wingers, and Royale used to come in against the better sides. But yeah, he had a really good game, and he needs to be noted to say actually he made the team tick as well today.
I was very happy with him. So all in all, big picture, 7 wins from the first 10 games. Our best ever start to a Premier League season, which is a phenomenal achievement from Antonio Conte, especially given the fact that people are saying that they're not happy with how we're playing always, and we haven't properly clicked yet. The fact that we have that kind of start is absolutely fantastic. We're now 1 point behind Man City and 1 point behind Arsenal, and with them to play tomorrow. So we'll obviously get to put our feet up and watch them play tomorrow and hope for the result goes our way. But look, all in all, very positive. Keeping our 100% record away from home. Clean sheet as well. Loads and loads of positives coming today. The only down mark remains to be seen how long Richarlison is out for. He did pick up an injury, so hopefully he's not out for too long. We don't really have the options right now, with obviously Kulusevski recovering from a slight knock, and Gil and Lucas not really players that Conte trusts fully. So I'm expecting maybe the 3-5-2 to continue in the next few games if they're continuing to be out.
True. Yeah, I think if we can continue with the 3-5-2 and hopefully the 3 players that we need for that stay fit as well. I think it's going to be, we're going to have to look at that and hopefully then bring on Moore and Hill really late as possible at the moment. But
I guess the positive is we're looking good in the 3-5-2.
That's the thing. We look comfortable, and I know a lot of people wanted that for certain other games, but like on Wednesday we didn't need it. Conte's going to know now. I think he's going to know by the opposition when he needs to do it and when he doesn't need to do it. And at the end of the day, and that's the thing we've got to be mindful of, that we don't need to be 3-5-2 every game. There's going to be certain games where we need to be all out attack, and actually that's the best formation for us. It was done well for us last year, and when Kulu comes back, I think a lot of people see when the front 3 play together, it's going to be a toss-up between the 2.
All right, well, Marlon, thank you very much for joining me today on the Watch Along.